live. And my mic's working, which is good.
It's a good start.
Alright, everything's working. So, quickly, because we lost some time there.
Sure.
Teams are... With me is Rekla, actually. Start that off. This is Groshk. We got
Uh-oh.
stars with Bodrum, Saigash, Thazad, and Fardock up against Cardsharks, Grindel, Trace, Slan, Tirsel. As Rekla was just pointing out, Marilith is notably absent from the Cardsharks lineup.
Yes, and I suspect that's not on purpose. Maryland, Grindel, Slan, Tearcell, and Maryland are the team that beat Stars out in playoffs. So I don't think they would just experiment just for fun on such an important nod, because it's likely that whoever wins this secures the first seed in Division Two. So Trace, I believe, is going to be a substitute. At the same time, if he plays well, it's still viable. Stars, on the other hand, did something very interesting tonight, which is that they did not put their usual lineup in at all. They did pick Zod, who did not see that much play last season, and we will see what they plan to do with this healing lineup, I think.
Another interesting point is Slan still does not... Oh, there we go. Finally wields a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good number of rounds he went without a weapon, so that's not ideal,
Yes.
but I still think Sharks going into this match has the advantage. I believe Bodrum's another one of those ACFL players that doesn't really play much outside of actual ACFL season, and possibly that goes for some of the other Stars players. And when people are rusty...
This is really interesting. What's happening is KCS always do this. They target the healer by nature. Bardock is maybe the tankiest healer that you can target, but they still got him to red very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It does seem as though KCS is just doing its plow thing.
And that's the thing. When people are rusty, it tends to favor the team that just has autopilot damage.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be Sharks.
Indeed. And we are just seeing
Tazad's been
Grindel
getting
take apart the
disarmed.
healers. Mm-hmm.
And in fact, he has
Rake
no
was-
weapon at all right now. And Sharks is already pushing the flag.
Yeah, and Rake did miss on Grindel, I believe.
So, early advantage to the Sharks. As it usually does, Stars are going to have to fall back on Bodrum in order to really kind of make something happen.
Yeah, Bodrum has been surprisingly quiet this match.
He
We've
did
not seen
E-Drain
that.
Grindel.
We did. That shouldn't make too much difference. Grindel does take a plunge. That round is horrifying.
Yeah, that just like annihilated half of Fardock's HP in a single round. I don't know.
See, there's this joke that Fardock has been immortal all this season. It's not against KCS. This is what happens when you capture, and then KCS has the people still.
He did capture, and I missed it. Grindel takes a dispel, and Fardock goes down.
Yes, and Trace is set to capture shortly here. I am using the same mic that I do to host, so I'm not sure what the issue is. I mean, hopefully it will come across clear.
I seem to recall us having this issue before. For some reason, when we Skype, your mic doesn't come through, even though it works fine for other people.
Yeah, could be the case. If
Sharks,
not, we can work around that. I can host next time.
Sharks do pick up capture, though. And they have the board advantage with Fardock down.
I'm willing to bet that Fardock had some mana left.
It seems
like
likely.
kind of a panic cap.
It seems likely.
Interesting to me that KCS is, again, they're man out from their normal fourth lineup. Trace so far has played exactly as he needs to. He captured when he needed to when KCS did their plow. Now we're looking at Stars at a continual disadvantage until this match ends. Zod taking a lot of unsanctuary damage.
Yeah, that's not going to do him any favors. Interestingly,
Still unsanced.
Tirsel is the flag carrier this go round, which means they've got
Bodrum is
plenty of
doing
room
his
to
best to
rescue.
interrupt.
But I mean, Bodrum's trying to, slow things down a little bit, but it's just not gonna. It's not gonna do too much. It's afternoon, so there's no chance of a shroud coming down anytime soon. He does have a. He does get a Dracolich out, but trolls can bash mounted, so I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
And
Grendel is the big problem for Bodrum here.
and
That
even
is
without
all.
bash, there's still power swing, shield strike from 2 sources. And there's always good old-fashioned Warhowl, right?
Yeah.
Slan's taking some damage, though.
Yes.
Starting
Sagash
to
is
feel
actually
some
doing
heat.
decent damage there. Bodrum is doing the best that he can to slow the roll here.
And everybody's starting to get wounded, but the problem is when you have a troll on you, you tend to withstand and then just die instantly because the damage output is so intense.
Yes, what Bodrum needs, I don't think Grendel is planning on playing anything sneaky here, like bashing off the withstand, for instance. I think he's just power swinging to try to trigger Bodrum's Wimpy.
I think the power swing is just because it's the most reliable way to stun him and slow down the damage output. I think that's really it.
Arguably the best stun in the game, aside from Sunburst. See, I think Bodrum is trying to interrupt enough that Fardock can get out there and they can plan a retake strat. It's just, he's going to take a lot of damage in the process. He is admittedly doing a lot. Grendel is red.
And Slan gets a choke down onto Sagash.
That is the second capture of the game.
And now Fardock should be coming out shortly. And we're going to have to see if Bodrum's done enough to weaken Cardsharks to allow a concerted push. There's Fardock back on the field.
Yes. The big problem is, aside from Bodrum, Stars still don't have that much in terms of damage output.
Sagash picks up the flag. I'm not sure that
I understand why he's doing that, because Grendel is still hurt, and they need, if they want to get any chance of a 3-2 here, they have to go immediately on the offensive. It's just a matter of, does Stars have enough to hurt them?
Well, we will see. Trace picks up the flag for the counter cap. He said Grendel is injured, but
Yes, but we've had this narrative over and over again, which is that how injured is Grendel, and is it just a case where he gets the power swing freely?
looks
So
like
he's taking some good damage.
Yeah, Slan's taking plenty of damage. Grendel's trying to focus down Bodrum, trying to get that withstand and the follow-up damage.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to get lucky, is what he's doing.
Now, Grendel alone is not doing that much. Bodrum Tear Cell is on him as well, so he'll take a lot, but he must be comfortable, because Alex is still acid blasting even with the 2 melee on him.
Yeah. Trace having gotten the flag is going to be a problem. They're going to have a hard time burning him down quickly. Stars are, that is.
Yes.
And they're going to be on the clock. Once Grendel goes down, if he goes down...
Ooh, Bodrum is in trouble here. Okay, he does flee safely. That was a bit risky.
That was
he could withstand proc, and that was a huge round off that.
It was a very scary round. But once Grendel and Slan go down, if they go down, that's going to put Stars on a clock, and anytime they have to spend trying to take down Trace is very precious seconds.
In theory, it could serve to stagger, though. I mean, they'd have to go right after him and try to kill him, but if it were a couple of ticks, that would be okay. That would work out in their favor, potentially. But they do have to kill Grendel and Slan, and until they do, they're just going to do tons of damage.
And while the score is 2-0 right now, this is still a very comfortable position for Stars. They may, what I don't know whether or not they feel comfortable, but as an observer, this is familiar territory watching a Stars match against tough competition, where
Yes.
Stars lose out on the initial battle, and then Bodrum just sits there and whittles you down and whittles you down and whittles you down, and you just can't close it out.
Sagash does die there though, and Tearself's still in Watt. Stars are in deep, deep trouble.
So that could be
there is no cat. They killed the capper. That's it,
Yeah.
I believe.
And there's nothing Bodrum can do at that point to.
Where is Trace on the map? Oh, he's there. Okay. That is a very, very confident looking 3-0 from KCS. It did look for a bit like Stars had a fighting chance to turn it into a 3-2, but that is in their favor, it turns out.
Yeah. And a very, very abrupt win.
Looks like they held out until they couldn't anymore. Then when their two guys died, that was it.
It's hard to deal with that damage output. It really, really is.
And it's important to note, with Magma, this is a 2-week duration, so every match, especially matches like this, are incredibly important as far as the stakes. You can comfortably say, I think, that this will put KCS into the first seed.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a rough match.
Now, the only thing this means, both the top two seeds still have to go to semifinals. So, in a way, it doesn't affect Stars' chance to get into the finals and still win. But if you're looking at that fight, you're going, okay, KCS is problematic for us because they have won again this Magma. They beat us in playoffs last season. How do we get out of that if we do end up going to finals? Now, for those of you who don't know how Magma works, the number 1 seed in the first division goes against the number 2 seed in the second division. So basically, you look at each tree, right? And then the number 1 guy plays the number 2 guy on the other side. So we're looking potentially, Stars will not have to face KCS until the finals, but they have to beat the number 2 seed in the first division. I know that sounds confusing, but
All right.
I do like the divisions, though. I do like the divisions because it opens it up to what would this look like if it were just ACFL regular season, right?
I mean, it's interesting. I don't know that I'm a big fan of. I know it's been an idea that's been floated for the regular season doing divisions.
Yes.
I don't know that I'm a fan of it, to be honest.
Well, if you're not, it'll be reflected. I would like, we had this discussion late at night a couple nights ago, and I was just thinking, how amazing would it have been if we had ACFL during like the player base of 300? Imagine how many teams would have been fieldable at that point.
I mean, it definitely would have been a whole new ball game for sure.
It's a nice dream, just because we lost so much talent the last 10 years. But
I mean, I think at that point we could have definitely fielded an extra 2 teams, I would say. I'm not sure, exactly what the makeup of Clanners versus Kingdomers was back then. So I'm not sure where that plays into it.
Yeah, we had a deep pool. I mean, justice fell off the face of the earth. I'm a bit of a dreamer in that I would love to see divisions. Or not divisions so much, but I'd like to see the expansion of 2 teams. That's the important part. But somebody brought a valid point up the other day, which is if we still have owner attendance issues, then that makes it very difficult for players. Anybody who was welcomed into the ACFL for the next season, they would need to be carefully vetted in order to ensure that they care about their team.
Yeah, I mean, there's just I don't know. It took a while to get rid of one inactive owner, and I think it's gonna take a while to get rid of the other one too.
Yeah. As far as I understand, anything to do with owners, like unless it's voluntary, like let's speak more generally, unless it's voluntary on behalf of the owner, as with Darshan, it requires a commissioner ruling, correct?
I mean, I would assume so.
Okay. I
Really,
was just curious for the sake of it. Like, let's say that an owner wasn't present for a couple of seasons going, then it would require, I believe, an executive order at this point to get them out of the league. But we will leave you with that, I think, unless you have anything else to add, Phil. I'll be honest, I was expecting a bit more of a competitive match, but that just looked like
yeah.
hard.
It's it's hard to, like I said, there's two teams that in order to beat them, you kind of have to work around a specific character. For Stars, that's Bodrum. For Sharks, that's Grendel.
Mhm.
And really, the only way to deal with Grendel, I think, is to just kind of overwhelm their team with AOE damage. Um,
I
I
think
don't
that's
know.
true.
I don't know that there's another way to do. I mean, you know, my philosophy from back in the day has always been when you're up against a team, you can't beat that team doing the same thing they do but worse. And so if you have a team like Sharks that has, you know, just insane melee damage output, you can't beat that with just damage output. You can't beat it by out healing it because the damage output is far in excess of any damage that you can heal. And so, really, the only thing you're left with is just raw AOE damage to the point
Yeah, I
that
think that's
that
true. For
out.
Stars, it's even easier to fight against them in a sense because they have an Achilles heel in Invokers, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
very difficult for them to get past. With Grindel, if he's saving, there's really nothing in the game other than a Troll Barb that can mirror that. And even then, it becomes a player issue. Like, you have to outplay KCS. They're a very well played team. But other than that, I don't see anything that can just address him as a problem directly.
And
Um,
really, I mean, that just goes back to a, a really poor design decision, I think. In
Yeah, it's just trolls are scary, man. Since K Gosh, it's been insane. I remember coming into the game just as K Gosh was playing. It was when I came back basically, and I played him and I fasted him immediately, and then I dispelled him, and he still brought it to a standstill. It was I think I even had to flee at that point. I was like, what's going on here? Like my fasting button isn't working. Why isn't he fleeing and recalling at this point?
yeah, it's I don't know. I I have nothing good to say about anything
That's
regarding any of
that's
that.
fun. That's fun. We'll keep the spirit of the cast positive for the most part.
But
Um,
predictions for finals. Obviously, I think with this, I mean that was really the two heavy hitters in Division Two. So with that win over Stars, I think that, like you said, easily puts Sharks in the number one spot for Division Two.
yes.
Um, with our disappointing match last night, I think that puts that likely puts you in Division One. At the head of that. So really, it's going to come down to whether Brutes can beat Hydra, I guess, to duke it out for that
Yes, and
second
my
spot.
understanding is I was looking at the flags, right? If Brutes beats Hydra, then that opens it up for a likely three-way 2-1 record. And then the question is, okay, head to head. Well, it gets complicated because let's say that Brutes were to beat Hydra, then you would have the head to head on us. Galaglass would have the head to head on you. I think then that it goes for points for and against.
Mm-hmm.
So if Hydra is able to secure one flag, assuming that all teams beat Billy Goats, then that puts us into at least the number 2 seed. So Hydra is sitting comfortably right now. It's really a question of what happens after that.
And of course, the bad news is whoever gets that second seed gets to fight
Plays
sharks.
KCS. Yes, indeed. But you're going to have to beat both teams in all likelihood to win the game. I mean, it's as simple as that. You're going to go against either Stars or KCS in semifinals, then the same thing for finals, right? And of course, KCS is, I think it's pretty safe to say at this point they're going to take the number 1 seed. So we will see. You're going to have a problem either way, and you're going to have to overcome it to win Magma.
It's interesting though. The tiebreaker thing goes back to why I hate head-to-head being the like primary tiebreaker.
Mm-hmm.
That's. I mean, we have points for and points against, and we track all that. That should be the primary tiebreaker. I think it kind of.
Yep.
I don't know, but
Yeah, we did have that vote last season, and I believe it was overruled, and the system was agreed to be the same, right? I remember that, but it was a close-ish vote.
I'm not sure. But I mean, I'll end up bringing it up again, so we'll see what happens.
Just
You know
make
me.
that
I'm
owner's meeting
persistent.
count.
I'm persistent.
Keep it going.
All right,
Just never give up, Phil.
that'll do it for tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you tune in tomorrow night where it's going to be Billy Goats against Hydra.
Indeed.
I'm
scared.
You should be, man. You should be.
I know.
All right.
This is brainchild.
Have a good night, folks.
All right, good
Thanks
game,
for tuning
folks.
in.